Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So hopefully we have a few people. So we've got someone from Cold Lake. Hi, good morning, Jessica. Comox, that's awesome. So West is what represented. Thanks for taking your time out of your day to join us. We'll just maybe give a couple more minutes and just see if there's any others that are coming in. Oh, there we go. We got the East Coast there. Thanks. Hi, Gagetown. Morning, Tammy. Perfect. Thanks everybody for joining us today for our stress, finances, and your health. My name is Dana Lawson, and I'm part of the awesome health promotion team here in Petawawa. And joining me today as co-presenter is Bonnie Blado from SISIP Financial Services. Bonnie's actually a financial counselor here in Petawawa. Good morning, Bonnie.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for doing this. And as well, we have Trina Manser from the health promotion team here in Petawawa. Trina is going to be known as our ghost facilitator. I have a sketchy internet connection, so just in case anything does happen and I do drop, I will be back, and Trina will just keep the conversation going and bring me up to speed when I do come back.
Roger.
What we've decided to do is actually put our video cameras off so that you'll have the full screen. So we're now actually going to do that for the majority of the presentation. They will be not on. At the end of the presentation. So thank you for being here today, as I mentioned. The idea for actually this topic came about after our PSP team locally completed a number of unit wellness assessments with our brigade units here at Garrison Petawawa CMBG. Financial planning and just understanding finances and budgeting was a stressor for a lot of people. And so one of my teammates reminded me of that, and I started having conversations with Bonnie about, you know what, could we put something together where people can get some information on stresses and finances and the implications of not managing those stressors well for your health. It is a life skill, and so we decided to put this together. So we hope that you get some information from it today. We're hoping that there'll be some tips and tools there as well. I just see we have Ben from Petawawa, so that's awesome, Ben. Thanks for joining us as well. So a few housekeeping items before we actually get into these presentations. I don't know if you have participated in any other of the Demio webinars that Health Promotion has been offering for the last 4 weeks or so. But there's been an amazing array of topics that have been available for people to see, and those are recorded so that you can go back and check that information out afterwards. First and foremost, this is the intellectual property of the Department of National Defense, so just reproduction or retransmission is not permitted. Also, just be aware that some of the topics discussed in the webinar may be of sensitive nature. I think we're pretty good in this one. We're sticking pretty close to the G-rated version here when it comes to stress, finances, and your health. But just remember, little eyes have big ears in case you do have some kids around in your home as you're paying attention to our webinar today. We ask as well that you just respect others by not sharing stories. Your mics and your cameras are going to be muted for the whole session, but we do thoroughly encourage you to use the chat, ask questions in there, throw up some answers, because we are going to try to make this interactive as we go through the morning. So, but recognize that, if people do put information in there, that it is not for you to share after this. But by all means, take away the information that Bonnie and myself are presenting you today. And finally, as I mentioned, webinars are recorded. So there is over a month's worth of webinars recorded already. So this one will be available after the session. So anything that we do put in the chat or our video itself is going to be part of that recording process. If you are interested in getting more information, say on stress or the communication, managing angry moments, nutrition, any of those that have happened in the past, please send me a message. My email will be at the end, and I'll make sure that I can share that spreadsheet with you so that you are aware of what is available and you can view those at your own leisure. I see actually there's a comment right in there now about CISIP and Comox helping out, and thank you for sharing that, Michael. CISIP is a great resource, and and all those who maybe don't understand what they do thoroughly will understand that by the end of our presentation today. So thanks for sharing that. Just want to make you aware of some resources that are out and available. We are in a very unique, challenging time right now. There's a lot of stressors that are going on for us. Finances is one of them. That's why we've decided to focus in on that today. But you know, the challenge of just working from home, being there's probably some of you that are homeschooling kids. Maybe there's been some financial challenges because maybe your partner has lost a job. So to recognize you are not alone, there are a ton of resources that are there. So those are just listed for yourself, for your children as well. There's actually a new Kids Help phone text number specifically for CAF children, and then as well information with regards to COVID-19 as we go through this. At the end of our presentation, we'll put this slide up again, and we will also add a handout with specific financial resources that Bonnie will reference in a little bit. So just very briefly, who we are as Health Promotion. We're at every base and wing across the country, and our role is really prevention focused to enable CAF personnel and their families and the defense team to take control and improve their health. And your health is that full health. So financial wellness, your spiritual, your mental, your social, your physical, your nutritional, all those pieces tied in together. We do it through a variety of strategies in these 4 different areas. So we focus on addiction-free living, our social wellness cell, which is where our stress management actually falls underneath, our injury prevention, active living, and our nutritional wellness cell. So we typically do a lot of education in classrooms. Right now we're doing it virtually, so you're getting the opportunity to get some really cool snippets of courses that hopefully were intriguing you, that when we are back to our traditional method, maybe we'll see you in some of the classrooms across the country to participate in those programs. So that's who we are.
Okay,
I'm going to turn it over to Bonnie.
So CISIP's been around providing financial services to the CAF community for over 50 years now, starting out with our flagship product of insurance, life insurance. And we have over the years added in financial counseling as well as financial planning for all of your investment needs. So my role is financial counselor. And this is an overview of what we offer for services as financial counselors. We're there for advice to help people learn to manage their money. If you've never learned, help you improve a budget plan that you may already have. If you have debts that you'd like some assistance on, we can offer tools and resources to help you manage those budgets. And then also we partner with support our troops to access the loans and the grants that they may have available. In the past, CISIP has been known, or it's been known out there, and I'd like to clear this up, that you only go to see a CISIP financial counselor if you're in financial trouble. We've really tried to swing that pendulum to the preventative piece. We'd like to offer the services, encourage people to use it. If you want to learn how to manage your money, if you have things that you want to work towards, we can help you get on a plan with that. If you're thinking of making a big purchase, let's look and see if that's a good decision for you. We can help you with all those things to have really good habits built for your future. Managing your money is a life skill, and we absolutely want to be available to help you build that skill that you can take with you through the rest of your life. So before we get started any further, Dana, I'm going to turn it back to you for the agenda.
Sure. We just have a poll there, and I see some of you have actually jumped in already. So we're just tracking what's your affiliation with the CAF community. So if we could just get our answers in there. Perfect. There's just a couple more coming in, and that will let us know who is here today. So lots of serving members as well as defense team employees. So just to clarify, so defense team employees or civilian employees on the garrison can access all the health promotion services that are out there, and we'll have some great community resources that are available for that financial piece as well. So thank you for providing that information for us today. So the agenda, what we're looking at covering with you this morning, we're just going to talk a little bit about stress, defining that stress, and really the health impacts, because it's so important to manage it because of what it can actually do to our physical and our mental health, and how financial stress fits into that picture as well. One of the tools that I want to make sure that I leave you with is a personal power grid. And then we'll use that to link in through to our financial piece. So Bonnie's going to talk about a financial overview, some of the experiences with Canadians as a whole, and then actually some tips for success so that you can actually leave the webinar hopefully with a few different tools and resources so that if you are wanting to do something about your finances or about your stress, you've at least got a starting point to move forward with that. So hopefully you've got your coffee, your water, maybe a healthy snack there, and you're good to settle in for the morning. All right. So we like to, if you've taken a health promotion course in the past at your base, or even when we're doing briefings and that, we do try to make it a little bit more interactive to engage the audience. So still want to try to do that here. So I just wonder if I would ask that back in our chat, if people could actually just give me some ideas of what stress means to you. If you were to think of that word, or someone was to ask you to define it to them, they didn't know what it meant, what would you say? Don't be shy, there is no wrong answer. Giving a webinar. Okay, thanks, Tarina. Absolutely. Body's reaction to changes. Good, thank you, Ben. Absolutely. Any other thoughts out there? Overwhelming, yes. Yeah, the unknown, good one. Yeah. And right now, the situation that we're in, it was a very unknown situation thrown at us. Who would have predicted that, you know, in middle of February, that if we were to look ahead and say, you know, 3-4 weeks down the road, we're actually going to be working from home and life as we know it is changing. So when the mind and body react to a situation that exceeds the ability to handle it rationally. Excellent. Thanks, Michael, for that. Absolutely. So lots of good ideas of what that stress is, and very much. So we actually, you know, giving that webinar is that stressor, and then our reaction is defined as what that stress is. So although there's no, you know, one definition that everybody agrees on, it is along those lines that everybody has put into that chat box. So that most commonly accepted definition, you know, that stress is that condition or feeling. So one of you had mentioned that experience when a person perceives, and that's the key word in here, is a person's perception, that the demands of that situation exceed my personal and my social resources that I can mobilize to actually deal with that situation. And I think, you know, that's what it's all about. It's, you know, my perception of the situation. So that's why when we talk about stress, and even today as we're talking about stress and finances, for some of you, you know, maybe your finances are in good order and you're just looking to get some extra tips, and finances aren't a stressor for you, or they don't invoke that feeling inside you. Whereas the person, maybe your partner, your spouse, or, you know, a coworker, actually that finances can impact them in a negative way, where they're actually starting to feel that they can't handle that situation. So it really comes back to that perceived ability. And so that's why we can, you know, never really say to anyone, you know, well, you shouldn't be stressed about that. And you know what, their situation, they might not feel that they have the resources and tools to handle it. So that's why it's so important to recognize that, you know what, it's my perception of that situation, because my perception is my reality. And can I change it? Absolutely. But it often takes work and consistency to be able to do that. So Trina or someone had written in, giving a webinar was an example of a stressor. What would be some other examples of stressors that people have experienced? We're here for finances, so I'm going to assume finances is a stressor. And typically when we do teach our stress management workshop, that one does come in. Denise, yes, children, absolutely. And especially right now, homeschooling, maybe we're all confined into those small spaces. Any other stressors that are out there for people? Aha, yes, absolutely. Yes, breakdown of marriage, the Phoenix pay system. Yeah, yeah. So it can be anything that can be those stressors that are there that actually then impact our ability to deal with a situation. Can stress be positive though? Do we think stress could be positive? Yeah. Okay, perfect. Okay. Excellent. We're all on the same page with that. And I think that's really important, because often when we're talking about stress, we're assuming that negative, right? That, that imbalance, that we're not able to deal with that situation, that we're starting to get the health consequences with it. But we also recognize when it comes to stress and performance that we do need a certain amount of stress in order to, perform well and be at our optimum. If we have too little, it's almost like, watching that paint dry, that boredom, we're a bit of a blob. So we need some things to motivate us. And so that's where that stress can be positive. So eustress or positive stress are things that we feel that we've got those tools and resources, but we're still going to get some of that stress response happening within our body. So those are those opportunities and those challenges. Yes, actually, yeah. So being competitive, like a competition, if you're training for something in actual that day of the event, or maybe you're going for a job interview, maybe there's some new exciting event that you're going to be doing. Like those can all be that positive stress where it gives us that motivation. And we're still getting some physiological changes in our body, but we're feeling that we can handle it. The flip side then is that negative stress, which is typically what we associate when people talk about, oh, I'm so stressed out, or, I just can't handle those things, or my finances are such a stress for me, where we're feeling that we don't have the tools, the resources to be able to do it. And even undesirable tasks, sometimes, that's why we procrastinate. If there's something that we really don't want to do, it's something that we hate doing. Maybe it's having that conversation about finances with our partner. So we keep putting it off, and it can then start to build and build, and it becomes that more of that negative stress as opposed to something that we are more in control of. So we always say, we need to learn to eat that frog first, right? Get those undesirable tasks over with so that we can enjoy life and more out of that. So important that we're actually managing stress, because we know that if we're not managing it effectively, there are physical as well as mental, social consequences that can happen when we're feeling that sense of overwhelming. So we want to make sure that we are managing stress, because when we are managing stress, we have more energy. We are more relaxed and calm. We're getting better sleep. I know for myself, sleep is one of my biggest things that gets impacted when I'm under stress, because I spend the night waking up thinking about whatever that situation is. We're more easier to live with, right? I'm sure some of you have probably come home maybe from a tough day at work where there was a stressful situation that happened, maybe a conflict with a coworker or something didn't go your right way. We didn't have that transition period. By the time we got home, all of a sudden now, where the kids are there and our partner is there, and we're not in a good place, and we're not happy, and then that translates into the household for the evening. So we lose that patience. So when we are managing stress well, we have more patience, we have more tolerance, we feel better about ourselves, we're more confident, we're more productive. So really that's the bottom line. When we're managing our stress, we feel that we have the tools and the resources, we have those things under control, we are happier, we are healthier, we're more productive. So as a soldier, we're operationally ready to deploy to be able to support. And with this as well, right at the beginning, the first line, it talks about handling life's demands. And right now we're in a situation, like I said at the beginning, where we had no idea this was going to happen. So the more things that we have in place when life is, what our typical life is, and we're feeling good and healthy, then when it does become these new demands or things that we're not used to, we are more able to handle it more effectively. So that's why we really want to stress that prevention piece. Same with financial health, our physical health as well. And just, not even just being that healthier, happier, more productive person, there is a lot of research that when we are not managing that stress effectively on a daily basis, it can actually impact and has been linked to actually 6 leading causes of death. So things like heart disease, cancer, lung ailments, accidents is another big one. I'm sure most people can, think about a time when, again, stressful situation at work, got in your car, drove home, and you don't even remember the drive because your mind was not behind that wheel. So on a daily basis, we're doing a job as a mechanic, as, someone who's doing whatever your role is as that soldier. Are you 100% focused? Or is something pulling your mind away? And so there are some of those bigger picture things that we really need to consider as to why it is so important that we manage stress. So it can be a lifesaver for us. when we're managing that stress on an effective day. So what does stress actually look like? How does it actually happen? So try to keep it pretty simple. There's a lot going on as things happen, but we recognize that an event happens. So something happens, whether it's external to us or whether it's internal. So external, like this car, internal could be part of our lifestyle choices. I'll talk more about that shortly, and so on with that. We then filter that. So we tell ourselves a story about what just happened. We put our judgment, our interpretation on it. So past experiences are gonna be part of that filter process. So if something like this has happened in the past and it was a bad experience, that's gonna then translate to us looking at the situation that is currently unfolding with us. Even our present circumstances. If you were up all night with a sick child and then a situation happens, that's going to impact our filter and our ability to be able to handle that situation, and whether actually we feel we have control in the situation. So those are just some things that can actually impact that mental filter. So we tell ourselves a story, and from whatever story we have told ourselves, then we see our stress response. We are either managing that well or we are not managing it well. So the green is where we want to go. For those of you that are within our military community, know about our mental health continuum model, and these colors are very similar to that. So when we're green in our mental health, we're handling things well, all the way up to the red where we're not handling it well. So it's a good assessment tool to let us know if we're actually experiencing stress and not feeling well and not being 100% at our job and in our personal life and so on with that. So it's a good check-in that we can do every once in a while. So what we want to do with our skills and our tools that we're talking about, those stress management tools, is to make that, most of the time we're managing things in the green. That we're doing well. And if we do end up going to the red, that we know what are some of those resources and things that can help us handle that. Just very quickly, again, if you can just kind of pop in the chat there, how would you know if you're not managing stress well? What would be your tall tale signs that either you know in yourself or maybe a partner or coworker might say to you? I'll give you an example for myself. Okay, so we've got panic, crying, so a lot of emotional ones. So weight gain, so fueling yourself improperly, looking for some comfort food. Thanks, Denise. Absolutely, I withdraw from people. Okay, Ben's heart rate starts to increase. Yes, headaches. Yeah, a lot of people carry that tension there and those headaches. It's important to recognize those things within yourself. I can become short-tempered as well, and even just bumping into things because I'm not focused, I'm not being mindful within that. So it's important to recognize, what are those signs with that. Absolutely, that's a great one, Michael. And that's, it's almost like, you've had that bad day at work and you come home and the thing that typically wouldn't set you off, all of a sudden today sets you off. And then afterwards we think about it and go, why? What was that about? Yeah. So it's important to recognize those things, and the earlier we recognize them within ourselves, the better. We do need to, so true, taking the bait, yes. We do need to recognize when we saw how stress happens, that first portion of our 3-stage process, it's an external or internal. And what we're going to want to focus in on is those internal. So those external stressors are things that we have little or no control over. And when it comes to the personal power grid, which I'll talk about in a few minutes, it can then become more of a stressor for us because we're trying to change something that we really can't change or influence. So you can see a couple of pictures that I have on the slide, like, the weather. We have absolutely no control over that weather or driving in it. So it's, trying to figure out a way to manage that within ourselves. The red tape that's out there. So they can be like those physical environmental things. Our interactions with people can be some external stressors. Major life events. So maybe we get injured. There's a major illness that happens with us. That's something that's out of our control and can then be a huge source of stress for us. And then as well, just our daily hassles. I know living in Petawawa when the garrison and brigade are all back up in running. Yeah, absolutely aging. There's those daily hassles, traffic, waiting in line, putting on hold. So a lot of different things like that are things that are out of our control. Our internal stressors, then, those are things that we have more control over. And those are where we want to focus because we can actually do something about it. So it's those things that are going to be linked to that mental filter. So things such as our lifestyle choices. So, whether we actually choose to exercise, whether we choose to eat right, get our sleep, our finances, those are all personal things that we can influence and have control over choosing. Our negative self-talk is another one, looking at, are we an optimistic person, or is there a lot of that negative self-talk going on? And optimism has been linked to actually, people who have that strong resilience, someone who's more optimistic, as well as longevity. There's mind traps that can happen that can be an internal stressor. So just our programmed ways of thinking. And yes, we can change them, but they're patterns of behavior and they take quite a while to change and consistency. And then as well, our personality traits. So who we are and how we handle things can be a stressor in itself. And again, something that we can change or should look to try to change if it is something that is that stressor. So when it comes to stress management, one of the first things we want to do then is recognize that we need to focus on those internal stressors, those things where we actually have more control. And that's where my final slide comes in, where we talk about the personal power grid. So I think this is a great tool. We utilize this in our full stress management workshop. And what you do with it is you actually think of your stressful situations that are happening. So whether it's finances, whether it's, you're being posted, whether it's you're going on deployment, whether it's you and your spouse aren't getting along, whatever it happens to be. And then you take that situation and you actually try to plug it into this personal power grid. Where we want to be is we want to be in mastery and acceptance. So mastery is when we have control over a situation and we actually do things to make it better and to improve our situation within that. Typically our finances would fall within that. Acceptance is when we don't have control and we don't take action. There's sometimes areas in our lives where we just need to recognize that this is the way that it is. I've tried to change it, but this is how it is, so I need to accept it. So again, maybe you're being posted out this summer, or maybe you're being asked to go on a deployment and you have no control on that. It's something that's going to happen. So you move into that acceptance phase of it, as opposed to staying in our opposite two blocks where we've got hanging on and giving up. So hanging on again when we have no control, but we're trying to change something about that situation. It can be like banging our head against the wall, and it can be very frustrating and lead to a very stressful reaction within us. And then as well, when we have control and we don't take action. So again, we can link that back to finances. If we're overspending, we know how much our income is. We can do some things about it, but we don't. We refuse to look at the credit card bills. We, are avoiding those phone calls. We're avoiding the conversation with our partner. And we're avoiding going to the bank, whatever it happens to be. Those are things that we could do to manage that situation more effectively. So I encourage you to think about this personal power grid and to try to utilize it on a daily basis when those stressful situations come up. Now, that's it for the stress end of the presentation. Before I turn it completely over to Bonnie, what we want to do is just do a quick poll to find out where you're kind of at with regards to your finances. So if you can get that poll up for us. So if you could just quickly answer that question for Bonnie and myself. So how did you learn about your financing, budgeting, investment? So your world of finance and how you live. Where did you learn? From your parents, from school, from work? Did you actually seek out some professional help? Or you haven't really done anything yet? You're just kind of, winging it, and you were hoping to actually pick up a few tips today. Perfect. Thank you. So some from those role models and then some from the financial planners. So thanks for that.
Thanks, Dana.
And I'm
Hi
now
again,
going to turn it
everybody.
over to Bonnie.
Very interesting on that poll. We always like to know that because we are very aware as financial counselors that in the past, finances have not been well taught in the school system. And mostly if your parents don't teach you, how are you supposed to learn it? It's not something that you're born with. So we get really excited to be able to provide services to our military community to help you learn, if you haven't, provide that financial literacy that becomes part of a skill set that every person should have, regardless of income level, regardless of type of work that you do, family makeup, all of that. It's something that belongs to all of us individually and can really help you be successful and certainly keep some of the stressors down. So Dana's talked a lot about the stress and how it impacts people in general. I will tell you from experience, and I've been with CISLIP going on 13 years now, and in the major banking system before that. So probably way too many years now if I think about it, that I'm giving away my age, but have seen a lot of folks that have been stressed by money, and it does have a huge impact, or can have a huge impact on your personal health, both mentally and or physically. Dana spoke to that as to what that may look like. Also, the impact on your relationship or your family. So if you come, for example, from different backgrounds, maybe if you're in a couple and one family, really promoted saving and not spending, and another family really promoted just spending and credit cards, you may have very, very different financial personalities that can cause friction in that relationship. So we certainly recommend having financial discussions prior to entering into a cohabitation relationship or a marriage, so that you get on the same page, have common goals, and have that open dialogue to work together and not have friction over money and business, if you will, that can damage a very good relationship. If you do have a family, for example, children, if you're stressed about money, again, it impacts your mental health, your physical health. If you're arguing with a partner, your children are very perceptive and they will feel that. They may not understand it, but the tension is certainly felt by the other family members. How does this impact you at work? If it's a very negative situation and you have past due bills or debts, you may be receiving calls at work. That's going to be painful, and that can cause you some trouble there. But it may also just cause a lack of focus, because financial stress is all consuming. You just don't seem to get away from it for the most part, most people. And as Dana mentioned before, stress is about perception. Some folks have debt and don't think about it, and other people, it really weighs on them heavily, or inability to pay bills, that type of thing, or worried about an upcoming expense. So again, that can take away your focus at work. So I have a question here that's just rhetorical. I don't expect you to answer this because it's extremely personal, your finances, so not for common sharing, but just think about this. If you're answering yes to any one or more of these questions, it could mean that your financial situation is detrimental to your health. So I'll just give you a moment to have a look. Okay. And to talk about stress again with Canadians, to let you know that you are not alone. This is not specific to members of the CF or the CAF community. This is Canadians in general. So this was a poll that I had found just to see what Canadians are experiencing and what's causing stress. A lot of it is steady income. In this day and age, as military members, you have a steady income, but maybe your partner or your spouse does not. Certainly saving for retirement. If depending on your age, that could be a very long way off, or it could be very close in the future, and can be stressful to wonder how are you going to make it in retirement. And certainly the big ticket items, paying bills on times, and you can see the rest of the list. The point to this is just to show you that you're not alone, and Canadians in general are feeling the same type of stressors. I have some statistics here, and you'll notice that they are from 2015, 2016. That's on purpose, and I'll explain that a little bit. So what you're seeing on the left side of your screen is the value of debt that Canadians, are carrying per $100 that they earn. So $168 indebtedness for every $100 that is earned. That's almost identical to now in 2020. And in fact, it might be up a little bit. The last I saw was about $172 per $100 for debt load. 42% of Canadians rank money as their number one stressor. And in my role, and my fellow financial counselors will say the same, is that we are working because a lot of people are experiencing financial difficulty, and it is causing them stress. And that's why we're here. We want to help alleviate that if we can at all. All right. If you are experiencing debt stress, we don't want you looking like this fellow. I just see a question here from Michael. Is that debt caused by mortgages? Yes, that is partly true. It is. Mortgages are included in there. Consumer debt is huge, and that would be credit cards, lines of credit, vehicle loans. The reason for that too is that it's very easy to obtain credit. So to go backwards, I joined CISA back in 2007. And when I left the banking industry at that time, I used the analogy that it seemed to me at that time that if you had an income, you had a pulse, and you could sign your name, you could obtain credit. And it was getting huge. Back in those days, if you had a credit card, the banks could automatically increase your credit limits without your authorization. That fortunately has changed. You actually have to say yes to credit card limit increases. But at that time, it was really easy to obtain credit. And people said yes and assumed that if the bank said we qualify, then we must. So debt just went up, went up, went up. 2008 came along and there was an economic downturn. And banks stopped offering credit. Basically, the purse strings closed up. People were no longer able to borrow as freely as they could. And the banks were then also starting to ask for repayment on some of these debts that may have been interest only or very tiny payments. And folks started to experience financial hardship. So things went along for about 10 years. And I'm noticing that those credit facilities have really opened up again, and it's again very easy to obtain credit, whether it's large spending limits, interest only debts, buy now, pay later, all kinds of different, I like to call it retail seduction to help you spend your money. That can all, it's great in the moment, but you know, it piles up, and you end up looking like this poor, sad fellow. And it feels like that. If you do get over indebted, that debt actually does feel like a weight that you're carrying around. Moving on to savings. This is sounding a bit doom and gloom, and I am doing that intentionally just to give you information before we get to some more positivity here. Canadians are saving, 25% of us, and 75% are not. But of the 75% that are not saving, 59% would have trouble meeting their financial obligations without their next paycheck. Now, this is a statistic pre-COVID-19. We know that people have lost their jobs and are reduced incomes, etc. So, you know, I would say that this is exemplified even more, as well as, you know, even the debt, having to rely now on lines of credit because we're short income, that sort of thing. So it's a really good time to start talking about these things and taking opportunity to make plans. So Dana talked about the power grid and making a decision. I realized that I want to improve my situation. I'm feeling like I've lost control. I'm doing okay. I want to make it better. Make that decision to take back control. That's number one. And how do I start? Okay, it's like any decision you make. Just decide to do it. Then give us a call. So I'd like to point out again that you don't need to be in financial difficulty or experiencing financial hardship to give us a call. If you haven't learned to draft a budget or make a plan, and you want to learn that, we can absolutely help you with that. I've had lots of folks say, you know, I have a budget, we follow one, but we're wondering if we can do anything to make it better. Absolutely, give us a call. If you are experiencing any sort of financial hardship, definitely give us a call and we'll sit down and have a conversation and, you know, get to know you. We talk about your goals. Number one, what's important to you? Next, we want to know, what is your financial statement? And we generally ask for financial statements from your bank, from your credit cards for 60 to 90 days, so we can get a little bit of historical information, look at spending patterns. And I want to add that that's not to judge your spending patterns, it's for accuracy and clarity, to make sure we're understanding how you spend your money, where it goes, and what you'd like to see done differently. We put it on a budget document. We will then look at that and see what the outcome is, and then work with you to make an action plan. And then up to you if you'd like to do reviews. We're absolutely there for that. It's not a one and done, one meeting, here you go, thanks for coming. We want to talk to you and be there to support you if you'd like to do this for a while until it becomes a well-oiled machine for you. So I mentioned on the last slide about goals. There's no right or wrong answer for your personal goals. It's very personal. It could be as simple as, you know, I'm struggling to have my bills paid on time. I'd like to make that happen. That's causing me to lose sleep at night. Debts, same thing. I have debts and I feel like I'm going nowhere. The interest rates are killing me. I don't seem to be paying it down. Things keep coming up. Let's see if we can help you make a plan. And then there are the goals that maybe are more fun, like saving, just to have savings, saving for education, your own, your partner, your children, retirement one day. You work hard for so many years. Wouldn't it be nice to have a plan to live the good life? Maybe you want to purchase your first home or your next home. You're being posted. And maybe you're wanting to start to grow your family. All these things are very important goals, but again, there's no right or wrong answer. It's what's important to you, and we encourage you to write down your goals. Make a grocery list of goals, and then we back it up to maybe the top one or the top three, and make sure that they're SMART goals. Now, we do have a handout of what SMART goals are. It's an acronym. And we also have, oh, there it is. There's the handout, and Dana is actually going to share it on the screen here so you can see that handout if you didn't want to download it. You have to be specific with your goals. What exactly is it that I want to achieve? Has to be measurable. Okay, how am I going to get there? How much is it going to cost? When do I want to achieve it? And what do I have available to work toward that goal? Okay, it has to be achievable. It has to be realistic. And it has to be something that you can work towards. You know, for example, if I want to buy a $5 million cottage next year, is that realistic? Maybe, but if it's not, maybe you need to make some changes. And it does actually have to be time-based. When do I want to try to achieve this? Okay. And again, the handout is there, but we can help you with those things to put together that plan. Just waiting for the slides to come back up. We want to show you as well a copy of the budget. I've been talking about budgeting, and actually want to show you a copy of what our budget looks like that you can use. It's at sysup.com, and there's the budget in the handouts. We're going to have a look at it here as well. We may be having a technical difficulty here.
Sorry, Bonnie, I thought I shared it, so just 1 second.
That's okay. So with the budget, I just want to point out, it's nothing more than a tool. It just gives you a snapshot of where you stand financially. So there it is. It's up the top section of this. And again, this is at sysup.com, and it's an Excel document. So if you plug in your data, it will do the math for you. So you plug in all your sources of income, and that's your pay, if you have child tax benefit, if you have any Veterans Affairs payments, any sources of income that you have. And please do use your net pay, the take-home pay, because that's what you actually have to work with. And then you list all your spending and expenses. Most of it is pretty self-explanatory. On this document, there are a few areas that I've highlighted in red, and I'll explain why. We have expenses in our lives that are not necessarily monthly. These red areas would be some of those expenses. So there are areas where you may spend money during the year, just not on a monthly basis, but we really encourage you to think about what the annual sum is for these red areas divided by 12, and then save that sum, that 1/12, that sum of money each month towards those goals. Maintenance on a vehicle, for example. I have pushed back. Well, I have a new vehicle. I don't need to have any maintenance. Well, you may not have oil changes for the next while, that type of thing, or breakdowns, but do you think you might need tires in the next year or two? You know, as the vehicle starts to age, wouldn't it be nice to have some money saved up when you need to repair your brakes, rather than, you know, it happens and now something else has come up. I don't have the cash. I put it on a credit card. Same with your plates. In Ontario, happy birthday to you every year. Here's your bill for $120. It doesn't sound like a lot of money. It's $10 a month that you could put away. But wouldn't it be nice on your birthday just to have that $120 there and not collapse your happy day? Same as gifts. Think of all people that you purchase gifts for, and for all the occasions that you recognize, add it up, divided by 12, and set that money aside every month. It'll give you a really nice comfort feeling that when the occasions occur, you're prepared for them. For a lot of you that are military members, your families don't live in your general vicinity where you live. So family travel might be an expense for you as well during the year. You know, whether it's at summer leave, Christmas leave, March break, whatever it is, it's just another area you may want to plan for in advance. Okay. So again, that document is an Excel spreadsheet, and that's what it looks like when we sit down with you and go through the budget document. We talk about all those things, right down to the little things like, what do you spend at Tim Hortons? And just for the record, where our office is in Petawawa in the Canucks Plaza, we're directly across from Tim Hortons, and we go there as well, and we also see the lineup. So think of those little things that add up, because you'd be surprised when you start adding up the small things that you pay with coins, how much money you can actually find in your budget. So when you've made your budget, there are benefits of making and sticking to your budget. If you make a budget, write it down and do nothing with it, it really has no value. But if you can stick to that budget, you will have positive outcomes. It will absolutely give you back a sense of control once you have a plan. I mean, the budget, first of all, is just a worksheet to see what you've got at the end of the month. Hopefully there's that's backwards. Hopefully there's money at the end of the month and not month at the end of the money. But either way, that's where we want to try to help you have a plan. It will help you to communicate better with your partner. It'll definitely give you that snapshot of where your money is going. And again, with that, how do we know that? We have all your bank statements, your credit card statements. What happens oftentimes in families is, I'll give you one example, groceries. What a lot of people think they spend on groceries and what they actually spend don't match, because you just go out and get groceries because you need them, but you actually know what you're spending. Dining out is another, restaurants, takeout, that sort of thing. In this age of debit card and tap and swipe, it's very easy to lose control. We don't write down all of our expenses anymore. So it's just an interesting exercise to go through. Helps you stay in touch with reality, just that, okay, now I know where I'm at, and I need to keep moving in this positive direction. It can help you meet your goals. You know, that you dedicate X number of dollars to whatever your personal goal is, and there it is. You have it in black and white. You have a written plan. Definitely give you that peace of mind. Again, sometimes if you are in a financial hardship, the problem isn't instantly solved, but taking back control and having a plan may relieve a lot of stress. Okay, may help you avoid those impulse buys. And remember, you've set some goals yourself or with your partner. You may choose not to just make an impulse buy because you're working towards something that you or you both want. So it could be just, you know what, we're not going to go out to dinner that one extra time this week. Let's just get something out of the fridge or out of the freezer. You know, we really like a new TV, but do we really need a new TV? No, we don't. Let's just leave it because we want to put that money towards something else. And then seizing the opportunities as they arise. You've now decided on a goal, you have a plan, and maybe it is an item. You need a new refrigerator, for example. Wow, boom, it's on sale. Hey, we've got enough money to go just get that refrigerator that we know we needed and we were working towards it. So it may prepare you to be available to make those goals a reality.
So actually, Bonnie, I'm just going to jump in here. So another handout that just got popped in there was tips for couples. So Bonnie has created this. It's a really great do's and don'ts on having the conversation around finances with your partner, and being able to do it in a way that is beneficial to everybody. We also offer our interpersonal communication, managing anger moments, and stress take charge, which build on a lot of the tips that Bonnie has included in this handout, which I think is a great valuable tool.
Thanks, Dana. You know, communicating with your partner about money. Trina, absolutely. Talking about money with your roommates. If you can imagine, I'm not sure how many of you may have children, but imagine your 2-year-old's having a meltdown in the morning and you and your partner are trying to talk about, you know, did you pay the hydro bill, or you've had a really bad day at work and you get hit with that as soon as you come through the door. Planning those conversations is a really good idea when you're a little bit relaxed, not right at the end of the day or when everybody's in a rush in the morning, that sort of thing. It goes a long way to staying on the same page, working towards those common goals, and having peaceful conversations. Couple of quotes. I'm a big believer in quotes and analogies, and possibly drive people crazy with my quotes sometimes. But realistically, a goal without an action plan is nothing more than a wish. And it really is. Either you're just thinking, I want to buy a house. Okay, well, when do you want to buy a house? I don't know. I just know I want to buy a house. We need an action plan so you can get towards achieving that goal. Michael just posted on here, his wife and I are from previous relationships, and getting on the page and doing a budget helps. So thank you. Really appreciate that. I'm glad we were able to help you. And you're absolutely right. Joining relationships or blending families presents a whole new set of challenges in itself. So thank you for that. We really appreciate it. Again, the Ray Davis person has created this second quote that I really like. When you make a plan, it may not happen overnight. You have a goal you're working towards. You've heard the saying, patience is a virtue. It definitely applies, but you know that you have a plan and you're working towards a positive outcome, again, whatever your personal goal might be. So a final thought on speaking about finances and money. You don't have to be rich. There's still a misconception that you can't have a budget, you can't have goals unless you have money. And folks will say that to you, okay, well, I don't have any money. How do you expect me to make this work? Well, let's have a look and see. What can you do differently that will help you achieve your goals? Do we just need to alter the goals a little bit? You know, whether it's time, dollar amount, that sort of thing. First step is you can do this yourself. Make your budget, make your plans, or if you like, absolutely reach out to us as a financial counselor. We're really happy to help you. Step number one, again, is making that decision to take control and doing it now. My final quote, my favorite, is a year from now, you'll wish you'd done it today. And again, we're here for you. We're here to support. It's certainly not one and done. We have a great team and very happy to be of assistance.
Bonnie, I just want to ask you a question. I mean, you've got a lot of experience working in the financial industry and counseling and whatnot. So if you were to look back and be able to provide some advice to your 20-year-old self, so just, 5 years ago, what advice would that be?
I would say start now. I use the quote, a year from now, you wish you started today. As a 20-year-old, I remember long time ago, I think there were unicorns back then, being 20 and thinking, retirement, that's never going to happen. That's for old people, et cetera, et cetera. The years go by and they start to go by really quickly. I would strongly encourage young people, build good habits, start the skill set. It is never too late to start, just so you know. You don't have to be in your 20s to start this. If you're 30, 40, 50, or beyond, we can always start new habits. I'm a big don't believe rather, that old dogs can't learn new tricks. But certainly as a young person, time is your friend when you're making financial decisions, making good financial decisions. The analogy to that, I'll figure it out later. It'll figure it out itself. That doesn't work. You should take charge and make good financial decisions. If you're thinking of starting to save, the best thing is time on your side when you're young. We have all kinds of calculators and whatnot that we can show you if we have a meeting that just show the value of time and starting young. But again, the biggest thing is that life skill. It has nothing to do with your income level, what type of work you do, as I mentioned, where you live. It's a life skill that all people should have and learn over the years. We had a note here.
Wow, that's awesome.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Jessica's asking, can you request a service of SysUp outside your current location? Absolutely, Jessica. SysUp has offices at all the major bases, and we'll give you the link to the website at the end of the presentation. But certainly, for example, Petawawa services North Bay, Sudbury, and Sault Ste. Marie. So we can offer those services by email, by phone, virtually, whatever works if you don't have a local office. So please do contact us if you'd like to use the service.
That's great. Thank you. So just again, our resource sheet. So Trina has downloaded, has put the resource sheet up there for you to download. So encourage you to do that. There's a great resource on there that Bonnie has referenced a couple of times. Bonnie, can you just remind me what that resource is? FC.
Yes, absolutely. It's the Financial Consumer Agency for Canada, or FCAC is the acronym. If you're not wanting to meet with a SysUp financial counselor, this website has fantastic self-help tools. We have it linked right into our website. Very valuable for personal use if you want to teach your children how to handle their money with their allowances, babysitting, part-time jobs, whatever it is. All kinds of valuable resources. Strongly encourage you to go into that link. It'll talk to you about how to access your credit rating. I've got those links on that financial resource sheets as well. But lots of things, from fraud and scams to managing your money and investing. It's amazing.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Thanks, Dana.
So that resource sheet is there as well. Then here's our resources that we put up at the beginning. So if you're feeling a little overwhelmed, want to talk to somebody, there's some good help available for us as our CAF community, and then those extra resources that Bonnie has listed as well on that sheet.
So if you do have any concerns about your finances, and again, please remember, you do not have to be experiencing financial difficulties to meet with a financial counselor. We're here to help. Financial literacy is key, very important for us, again, to build those life skills or tweak a budget or a plan that you already have. Just have a second set of eyes, if you will. If you're in Petawawa, give us a call at the number listed here, 687-0025. That will put you in touch directly with our admin. If you'd like to book an appointment with us, if you're not in Petawawa and you would like to reach out to SysUp, whether it's for your insurance, financial counseling, or investments, sysup.com, contact us and you can just send us a virtual request and we will reach out to you to get something set up.
Awesome. Thanks, Bonnie. So
Pleasure.
it brings us to the end of our presentation. We do have a few minutes left. There are some specific questions, but there are also two polls that we just need to do quickly. And this is about us gathering some information with regards to what sessions are being offered across the country. So if you could just take a minute to answer those questions for us on the first poll. So I feel I can apply what I learned today in my daily living. So from strongly disagree at the top, then all the way down to your strongly agree at the bottom. And Trina, if you could throw up our last poll as well. So this is just reference to the platform that we use today. So it's known as Demio platform. So just rank that for us, because if continuing education via webinars and distance learning is going to continue into the future, we want to make sure that we're putting out the best possible presentations on the best possible platform for us to use. So checking that off is appreciated. Thank you for that. Thanks, Denise. I was thinking, okay, perfect. Oh, Michael, you were a Sentinel, so thank you for that. So I'm sure CISIP would be willing to provide a briefing to to the Sentinels as well with that. So we will be here for the next few minutes. If folks have any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat. Then we're here. Other than that, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the information today. Thank you very much, Bonnie and Trina, for being part of this and participating. I think there was some good information. I learned some great stuff from you, Bonnie, today, so thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me. Thanks, everybody, for joining.
Thanks, everybody, for your participation and joining us.
So I don't know how to tell if people are still here. Oh, there's still 5 attendees, maybe. They're probably hearing me talk now, but that's okay. 4. Down to
Oh, there we go.
3. Well, thanks for the feedback. Perfect. So I don't see any questions coming in, so I think we're pretty good. We could probably close out of it. Great job. Thank you, Trina. It was excellent. Really appreciate it. So we'll close this out, and maybe I'll give you each a call, and just we can do a bit of a feedback session. All right. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Great.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Dana.